I was told by Gaura Hari Prabhu that devotees on the call are all sincere, fixed up devotees, spiritual practitioners, and Krishna conscious devotees. So we have a very devotional topic today. That is Krishna Leela in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we know Chaitanya Charitamrita is actually the the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But then what's intriguing in the topic is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being non-different from Radha and Krishna, the Chaitanya Charitamrita is also non-different from the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So therefore, in the Gaura Leela, there are very beautiful, wonderful hidden secrets and hidden jewels. Today in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we will see one verse from the Adi Leela, chapter 4, which will blow our mind away with the genius of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Because he composed 11,555 verses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where about 6,000 verses are in the Madhya Leela, the middle section. About 2,000, 3,000 verses, about 2,500 verses in the first section, that's the Adi Leela, and about 3,500 verses in the Antya Leela, the concluding section. So that's how the Chaitanya Charitamrita looks. It's about 2.5, 6, 6.5, 3, 3.5. That's like the split up of the verses as far as thousands are concerned. 2,500 in the beginning, 6, 6.5 in the middle, 3, 3.5 at the end. So the total comes up to 11,500 verses. So one of those verses in the Adi Leela is what we are going to discuss. But the way we are going to approach this topic is, we are going to first discuss for quite some time, and then we'll open up the verse, because that's then it's always a nice secret to open up presents. If someone gives the gift or the present straight in the hand, and then we start ripping and opening it, then it's not so exciting. But first you start playing with the hints. What do you think it would be? How small or how big do you think is the present? What do you think are the contents of the present? And when we increase the enthusiasm and the curiosity, then the person, all of us, when we open up the gift box of Chaitanya Charitamrita and we find the present that Kaviraj Goswami has hidden there, we will appreciate in gratitude how great these acharyas are, and how devotionally deep and how intellectually erudite these or scholastic our acharyas are. So any doubts about the efficacy of this process, any doubts will all be taken away, because we understand that these acharyas are not sentimentalists. They are very deep scholars. They are linguists, and they are deep in culture and spiritual practice. So without further delay, that being the introduction, let us quickly chant the Mangalacharana prayers. Then we will discuss, and then we'll open up the gift box for today. Okay? Om Ajnanathimiranthasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Rakunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kajidupasana Vrajavadum Vargena Ya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Matamidam Tatradarana Paraha. Chakravarti Thakur has very beautifully composed this verse in a book called as Sri Chaitanya Matamanjusha. Very famous, Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas, very famous verse. So there he has mentioned 5 things to chase. There are 5 things that we should aspire for. There are 5 things that we should chase in life. 5 goals to chase. By the way, as a request, or let's say as a announcement, if there's anything that you feel like taking notes, or if there's something that you want a repetition about, feel free to raise your hand on the chat box. If there's something that you want me to repeat, if there's something that you want me to go slow about, because I may have a very strong Indian accent. So if there's something that you're not able to understand because of my pronunciation or my accent, then completely feel free to even unmute yourself and say if I could repeat that slowly, or if I could repeat that a couple of times. I would be very, very happy. I'm coming here only in the mood of a servant, and whatever it takes to please all of you and to serve all of you, I'm very, very happy to do that. So there are 5 things that Chakravarti Thakur talks about, which he says that is the goal of a Gaudiya Vaishnav. The first thing he mentions is, if you want to love someone, if you really want to serve someone, Aradhyo Bhagavan, then chase God. But which God? Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas. Chase the son of the king of Braja. That is Krishna. Very, very interesting. If you actually want to fall in love with someone, then fall in love with that little cute blue butter ball of Braj. That very sweet stuffed toy in the lap of Mother Yashoda, who is learning to walk and talk, holding the little finger of Nanda Maharaj. Fall in love with that very beautiful boy. That's point number 1. Second, Tadhama Vrindavanam. If there's one piece of land you want to fall in love with, make sure that is Vrindavan. So if you ask an Indian, what's the best part of the world, he may probably say India. And if you ask a Russian, he may probably say Russia. And if you ask a German, he would probably say Germany. If you ask an American, he would probably say America, right? So we have affection for the land that we are born in. But now and we have affection for ourselves, and we have affection for our family. We have affection for the land of our birth. But now is an identity change. If you want to fall in love with someone, it shouldn't be ourselves. It should be the one on the altar, Krishna. And if there's one piece of land that we should fall in love with, not necessarily our place of birth, because that changes with different bodies. It must be Vrindavan, that land which will never change, that land which will always remain as the most beautiful, wonderful source of affection, the birthplace of Radha and Krishna, the playground of Srimati Radhika, Vrindavan Dham. That's the second. The third, Ramya Kajidupasana Vrajavadhum Vargena Ya Kalpita. If you want to befriend someone, if you want to follow the footsteps of someone, if you want to develop affection for someone, it must be the devotees of Krishna, and the goal are the Brajbasis, those who really selflessly love Krishna. That's the third. So the object of our love should be the son of Nanda Maharaj. The affectionate place that we should be attached to should be Vrindavan Dham. The relatives, the family, the friends that we should really consider close to our heart should be the devotees of the Lord, and ultimately aspiring, following the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan, the Vrajvasis. So they are our true family. Now the fourth point, If there's one book that is going to guide us on our path to go back to Vrindavan, what is the roadmap? What is the GPS? What is our, how do we know where our route is? Well, that is Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam. Oh, that must be Srimad Bhagavatam. That is our roadmap. So that's the fourth. And the fifth is, what is ultimately the aspiration of our heart? Prema pumartho mahan. It is to develop love for the service of Radha and Krishna. Attachment to the lotus feet of Radharani. This prem is what we aspire for as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And the last line says, these are this is the opinion and these are the guidelines of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore, there's no argument or debate about it. These are the 5 conclusive points. Fall in love with Krishna, fall in love with Vrindavan, follow the footsteps of the Brajavasis, Braja Gopis, follow the instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam, and aspire only for service at the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. So this is the first verse to start our discussion with. Now the interesting thing is, since we're speaking so much about Vrindavan and the residents of Vrindavan, the point to be noted is, what is that thing that attracts Krishna in Vrindavan? What is that thing that attracts Krishna to the residents of Vrindavan? It is their selfless love. It is that devotion that they have in their heart, which is not seen anywhere else. Chaitanya Charitamrita has very beautifully described that Krishna outside Vrindavan is always worshipped as God. But in Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda holds the ear of Krishna and tells him, naughty boy, you're not offering obeisances to Vishnu. Go to the temple, put your hand under the cloth and chant the mantras. Just like we sit and chant the Gayatri mantras, remembering Radha and Krishna. Krishna's mother tells Krishna to go and remember Vishnu. And our acharyas have very beautifully described that when Mother Yashoda tells Krishna that you have been initiated by Bhagori Rishi, he has given you the Vishnu mantra, the Narayan mantra. So you should run your fingers under a cloth and sit in front of the deity of Vishnu and chant the names of Vishnu in the temple of Vishnu. You should bathe and go to the temple and chant your Gayatri there. So Krishna, being a good boy, he says, okay. And he goes to the temple and he takes his upper cloth and he runs his fingers under that cloth, remembering the names of Vishnu. And after about a couple of minutes, he's really bored because he has to chant the names of his partial expansions. And as he understands, as he's in his heart thinking, this is not working right. The whole world is worshipping me and I'm worshipping my partial expansion. And from there, Vishnu is also worshipping in Vaikuntha. He's also remembering Krishna. Krishna in Vrindavan is remembering Vaikuntanath, Vishnu. So there's a very nice Shakti in Vrindavan called Leela Shakti or Yogamaya. And one of our characteristics, Srila Rupa Goswami describes, is Ichha Shakti. She understands the desire of Krishna and she executes it accordingly. So Brinda Devi, who is the predominating presiding deity of that energy, she sends her parrot to help Krishna. And the parrot goes and sits there. And the parrot asks Krishna, so what's wrong? What's the news? Krishna says, what to do? My mother's looking through the window of the kitchen and she wants me to run my fingers under a cloth sitting in this temple in front of the deity of Vishnu. And I'm not so excited chanting my own names. I'm not so excited chanting my own names. So parrot said, what do you want? Krishna said, I want happiness. I'm not happy. I have to sit here for 30 minutes doing this every single day. I'm not happy. And I don't want just one drop of happiness. I want streams and streams of happiness in my life. Everything is going wrong. So here's the interesting twist in the tale. As Krishna is saying, I want streams and streams of happiness. The term used in Sanskrit is Ananda Dhara. Ananda means happiness and Dhara means streams. So Krishna says, I want Ananda Dhara. I want streams and streams of happiness. Now in America, we have a phrase called as bird brain. When someone's not very intelligent, we say, oh, he has bird brain. But the birds in Vrindavan are not less intelligent. They are more intelligent than Krishna. because they give happiness to Krishna when he's deprived of happiness. So this bird, this associate of Brinda Devi, who's sitting on the perch of the window to the temple, looks at Krishna and says, "What do you want?" Krishna says, "I want Ananda Dhara. I want streams and streams of happiness." Now the bird sits there and forgets the order in which Krishna spoke this. So the word dhara means stream, but when you flip it around, it becomes Radha. So the bird sits there and says, "Oh, Ananda Dhara, Ananda Dhara, Ananda Dhara." And then there's a pause, and the bird forgets the order in which the syllables are put together and starts saying, "Ananda Radha, Ananda Radha, Ananda Radha." And Ananda means happiness. And Krishna looks at the bird, said, "What did you say? Go on, don't stop. Keep speaking, keep speaking." And as the bird is saying, "Radha, Radha, Radha," Krishna is running his fingers under the cloth with so much happiness. And Mother Yashoda is looking from the kitchen window to see, oh, her son is so absorbed, such an obedient boy. He's chanting the names of Vishnu under the cloth, moving his fingers. And I told him only to chant for 30 minutes, but it's been 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. He's sitting there forgetting his breakfast. He's just chanting the names that have been initiated by Bhagavad Rishi. But this is the glory of Vrindavan. Krishna, who's described in the Chandogya Upanishad as the source of all happiness. The Chandogya Upanishad describes, to the left of Krishna is happiness, to the right of Krishna is happiness, above Krishna is happiness, below Krishna is happiness, inside Krishna happiness, outside Krishna happiness, wherever Krishna goes happiness, and lack of Krishna, misery. When there's no Krishna in the heart, when we don't accept devotion, then there is miserable condition. But when Krishna is welcomed through the door of our heart, then the person becomes Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. He becomes ecstatic. He erupts in jubilation. So Vrindavan Dham is so great that Krishna who gives happiness to the whole world, Vrindavan Dham benedicts happiness in the life of that Krishna by connecting Krishna with Srimati Radharani. So this Vrindavan Dham is the ultimate destination, holiday destination. In this world, oftentimes people have this question: what are those 10 holiday destinations that you would want to be before you die? But the Gaudiya Vaishnavas don't want 10. They want only one. And they want a holiday destination where they can go and die. That is Sri Vrindavan Dham. Therefore, in our Tulsi Aarti also, we are glorifying Vrindavan Dham. Morning and evening, we glorify Vrindavan Dham. We say, "Oh Brinda Devi, those who take shelter of you, Je tumara sharanaloy, tara vancha purna hoy," you fulfill all their desires. Kripa kori koro tare Vrindavanavasi. Please give me entrance into this beautiful, wonderful land of Vrindavan. If not physically, at least in my consciousness, let my heart beat for this tract of land. Let me aspire for this spontaneous mood of devotion. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described that the love of the residents of Vrindavan can be understood like this. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami very beautifully gives a hierarchy. He explains that the love of the trees of Vrindavan is like a mountain. It's like a big Mount Meru in front of the love of those outside Vrindavan. The love of the trees of Vrindavan is like a mountain in front of the love, in comparison to the love of those outside Vrindavan, which is like a mustard seed. Love of those outside Vrindavan is like a mustard seed, but the love of the trees of Vrindavan is like a mountain. But now the hierarchical understanding goes even further. The love of the trees of Vrindavan is like a mustard seed in comparison to the mountainous, gigantic, humongous love of the friends of Krishna. Krishna's friends love Krishna like a mountain, as big as tall and as wide and as humongous as a mountain. But the trees love, the comparison of the friends to the trees is like the mountain to a mustard seed. But then Kaviraj Goswami says the love of the friends of Krishna is like a mustard seed. in comparison to the mountainous love of Mother Yashoda. And then she goes on to say, those in Vatsalya Ras. Then he goes on to say, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the love of those in Vatsalya Ras is like mustard seed in comparison to those in Madhurya Ras, which is like Mount Meru. And then he takes one step ahead to say, the love of the gopis of Vrindavan, which is actually like Mount Meru in comparison to everything else, is like a mustard seed in comparison to a great mountain called as Srimati Radharani, the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. So Srimati Radharani's love is like Mount Meru, and the love of the gopis of Vrindavan is like a mustard seed. Those gopis of Vrindavan who are ready to go to hell by giving the dust of their lotus feet just to relieve Krishna of his headache, who's the gopis who are glorified in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Kaviraj Goswami describes that their love is like a mustard seed in comparison to the love of Srimati Radharani. So dear devotees, now let us enter into this very beautiful path of glorification of Srimati Radharani. And then we will come to a very interesting topic that we had decided. As far as the position of Srimati Radharani is concerned, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, Radha Krishna Nitya Aiche Eka Hi Swaroop Lila Rasa Aswadite Dhari Dui Roop. That Radha and Krishna, Nitya, eternally, they are Eka Hi Swaroop. One body, one mind, completely one, in and out one. Radha Krishna, they are just one. There's no two, just one. One reality, one absolute reality. But Lila Rasa Aswadite Dhari Dui Roop. Just to have very sweet, transcendental, loving, reciprocative dealings, that one has become split into two forms. The dark complexion Shyama Sundar and the fair complexion daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj and Kirtida Devi, the goddess of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani. Then Kaviraj Goswami describes what is the position of Radharani. He explains that when you condense the Ladini Shakti, the pleasure-giving potency, to its highest state of existence, that is called love of Godhead or Prem. And when that is condensed even further, that is called Mahabhav, the love of the gopis. And when that is condensed to the highest extent, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes that state of condensed, concentrated, thick love of Godhead, that existence, that personality is called Srimati Radharani. So we could say that Srimati Radharani is not a girl, she's not a woman, she's not a superwoman, she's not a human being, she does not have a human body made of skin and blood and bones. But what is she made up of? Srimati Radharani, from head to toe, she is made up of only concentrated prem for Krishna. Neelambaradharo Radha, Pitambaradharo Hari, Jivane Nidhane Nityam, Radha Krishna Gatir Mama, Krishna Gehe Stita Radha, Radha Gehe Stito Hari, Krishna Dehe Stita Radha, Radha Dehe Stito Hari, Krishna Se Dravidam Radha, Radha Ya Dravino Hari. And in the Vrindavaneshwari Radha, Krishna Vrindavaneshwar, Jivane Nidhane Nityam, Radha Krishna Gatir Mama. Our Jiva Goswami has described that the body of Radharani is the body of Krishna. The body of Krishna is the body of Radharani. The wealth of Radharani is Krishna. The wealth of Krishna is Radharani. The Lord of Vrindavan is Krishna, and the goddess of Vrindavan is Radharani. He who wears a very nice yellow dhoti is Krishna, and she who is wearing a blue dress is Radharani. And in this way, Radha and Krishna are one reality, and Radharani is completely from head to toe made. Every atom of our body is only made out of thick, condensed, concentrated Krishna Prem. Raghunath Das Goswami, in another section of the Radhikashtakam, describes the same point, that everything about Radharani is made only of love of Godhead. He explains Radharani's mood, Radharani's body, Radharani's ornaments, Radharani's clothes, everything is made out of Krishna Prem. Radharani's cloth is not made out of 50% polyester or nylon. It's all made out of Krishna Prem. And the example could be given. Let's say if we take sugar and we deck up and make a doll. We make a nice doll with sugar, and a nice, girl doll with nice hair, nice frock, and nice socks and shoes, or, nice bangles, hands and head. So if you ask, what is this doll made up of? We'll say the doll is made up of sugar. What are the hands made up of? The hands are made up of sugar. What is the hair made up of? The hair is also made up of sugar. What's the frock made up of? The frock is also made up of sugar. So from this example, we can understand, if one sugar doll in this world can have everything made up of sugar, why can't the little doll of Vrishabhanu Maharaj and Kirtida Devi, Srimati Radharani, why can't she be made from head to toe of condensed, unalloyed, uninterrupted, transcendental, selfless love, which is sweeter than all sugar possible? This is Srimati Radharani. This is her position. Everything about Radharani is only made up of divine ecstatic love. Even the earrings of Radharani are made up of lobha. Lobha means greed to hear Krishna Katha and the names of Krishna. So the earrings are made up of that greed. Even the kajal of Radharani is made up of shamras, which means the shamarang or shamaras means a dark complexioned, black colored kajal. But at the same time, the word sham also means Krishna. So they decorate the eyes so that the eyes can glance at Krishna. So in this way, every ornament, every cosmetic, cloth, dress, even the fingers, the nails of Radharani, the tip of the toenails of Radharani, they're all made out of Krishna Prem, according to our acharyas. Now the interesting thing is, this Radharani has two forms. She has one form as Radharani, of course, as Vrishabhanu Nandini, the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. And the other form is the picture that is there in the backdrop on the wall there. And that is Sri Radha Kund. Sri Radha Kund. Radha Kund is non-different from Radharani. So all the qualities that Radharani possesses, Radha Kund also possesses. Therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described, Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu Tasya Kundam Priyam Tatha Sarva Gopeshu Saiveka Vishnu Ratyanta Vallabha. This verse is quoted in the Puranas by Vyasadeva and included in the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, to mention that just like Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu, just like Radharani is very dear to Krishna, Tasyaha Kundam Priyam Tatha, even Radha Kund is very dear to Krishna. Very, very dear. Sarva Gopeshu Saiveka Vishnu Ratyanta Vallabha. Although Vrindavan is filled with so many water ponds, their relation to Radha Kund is like the relation the gopis have to Krishna or Radharani. All the gopis are dear to Krishna, but there's no gopi as dear to Krishna as Radharani. Therefore, all the kunds in Vrindavan are very dear to Krishna, but there's no kund which is as dear to Krishna as Radha Kund. All of us have been to Radha Kund and Sham Kund in the past. And how many of us, while going to Radha Kund and Sham Kund, said, oh, today I'm going to Sham Kund? None of us said that. While leaving home, when the devotees asked us, oh, Prabhu, where are you going today? Oh, I'm going to Radha Kund, right? And it's not that Radha Kund and Sham Kund are like far away that you have to say, I'm going to Radha Kund and I'm going to Sham Kund. Like they're this close. And you can see all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas are on the banks of Radha Kund offering ghee lamps and worshipping with flowers. And there, like Sham Kund is sitting. When will I have a chance to worship Radha Kund myself? So this is not partiality, but this is transcendental fanaticism. Our Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur said that everybody, all the sampradayas, they worship Krishna primarily. And then they offer a flower to Radharani because Radharani is dear to Krishna. But our Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur said, in our parampara, in the Gaudiya parampara, we primarily worship Srimati Radharani. And we offer one flower to Krishna also because he is very dear to her heart. So this is the focus of the Gaudiya parampara. So therefore we can see in the trajectory of our discussion till now, we started off with the verse of Chakravarti Thakur, where we mentioned the 5 things which we must chase. And then from there, we went into the realm of Vrindavan in our discussion. And then through Kaviraj Goswami's hierarchy, we mentioned about the mustard seed and the mountain example to bring to the point the appreciation, reverence point of Radharani's transcendental preeminence. And then from there, we mentioned that same Radharani has two forms. One is that of the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, and the other that of Radha Kund. Now, why we are mentioning about Radha Kund is an interesting point. Very, very interesting thing to discuss. In our Upadeshamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami has given a very nice hierarchy in the glorification of Radha Kund. We can see text 9, 10, and 11 in our Nectar of Instruction. We can see Rupa Goswami spends 3 verses out of 11 verses on the glories of Radha Kund. And in the first verse out of the 3, which is the 9th text in the book, Rupa Goswami gives a very nice hierarchy establishing the position of Radha Kund. Vaikunta Janita Vara Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsava. I'm really sorry. I think the internet fluctuated. And as we know in spiritual life, union and separation are 2 sides of the coin. So I think even the connection had union and separation. There was some connection, union, and then the separation. So yes. Is the audio and the video proper right now?
Yeah, now it's working proper.
Okay, wonderful. So would I have all of your permission to continue?
Please, we cannot wait.
Okay. So our Rupa Goswami, he describes the hierarchy of different places. And he mentions that greater than Vaikunta is Gokul Mahavan. Because he mentions in Vaikunta, the Supreme Lord is in his 4-handed feature as Vishnu. But in Gokul Mahavan, he takes birth. There's no birth in Vaikunta. Vishnu doesn't take birth in Vaikunta. He's God. But in Gokul Mahavan, he appears from the womb of Mother Yashoda as a little cute little boy. So Rupa Goswami says, as far as intimacy is concerned, greater than Vaikunta is Gokul Mahavan. Because there's no childbirth in Vaikunta, but Krishna takes birth in his 2-handed form in Gokul. But greater than Gokul Mahavan is Vrindavan. As we know, Gokul is on this side of the Jamuna, and Vrindavan Dham is on the other side of the Jamuna, on the western side. So Rupa Goswami says greater than Vaikunta is this Gokul Mahavan, but greater than Gokul Mahavan is Vrindavan Dham. Why? Because Krishna appeared in Gokul Mahavan, but then he would go to Vrindavan Dham and perform very beautiful, sweet pastimes. Shri Rasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shama Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Sarva Manorama Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohana. So Vrindavan Dham is the place of the Rasa Leela, the Rasa Sthali. So greater than Vaikunta, in Vaikunta there's no birth of Krishna, there's no Janmashtami. But in Gokul Mahavan there's Janmashtami. But greater than Gokul Mahavan is Vrindavan, where there is Rasa Leela. There's meeting with the gopis and very beautiful singing and dancing. But Rupa Goswami says greater than Vrindavan Dham is Govardhan. And Govardhan is the king of all pastime places, because there all the rasas meet. Krishna has friendly pastimes with the Sakhas. Krishna has very beautiful pastimes with the gopis, the gopas, everyone. Balaram. Vrindavan Dham Govardhan facilitates the beautiful loving pastimes of all the rasas of Krishna. So we can see in the Govardhan Leela, Indra committed such a big offense. But who forgave Indra? On whose power was Indra forgiven? Indra was forgiven on the power of one cow. One Surabhi cow went to Krishna and wrote a recommendation letter. Please forgive this Indra. So Indra, who is the lord of 330 million demigods, he is forgiven by one cow of Vrindavan. And millions of such cows go and get nourished by the grass of Govardhan. So imagine the position of Govardhan. Govardhan, through his grass, feeds those cows. And each of these cows have the capacity to forgive the king of demigods. That's the position of Govardhan. And on the lap of Govardhan is Sri Radhakund. Radhakund is the lap of Govardhan. Radhakund at the same time, Radhakund and Shamkund are the loving, tear-filled eyes of Govardhan. So therefore, any place can be understood by three categorizations: by time, by place, and by a speciality of circumstance. In Vrindavan, it is called Kala, Desha, and Patra. In English, it's called time, place, and circumstance. So anything can be judged, understood. The significance can be, the importance can be understood as far as time, place, and circumstance. So Vrindavan or Sri Giriraj Govardhan's position, ultimately Radhakund's position, can be understood as far as place is concerned. Time, place, and circumstance. As far as place is concerned, Radhakund is the highest. Highest. Greater than Vaikuntha, greater than Gokul, greater than Vrindavan, greater than Giriraj. That is as far as place. Now what according to time? As far as time is concerned, how is Radhakund the highest? Of all the pastimes of Krishna, Krishna's eightfold pastimes throughout the day are very significant. And of that, the afternoon pastimes of Krishna between 10:48 in the morning to 3:36 in the afternoon pastimes of Krishna are the most exalted pastimes. And guess what? Where does Krishna go during that time of the day? He goes to Radhakund. So as far as place is concerned, Radhakund is highest. As far as time is concerned, the pastimes which are the most confidential pastimes are the afternoon pastimes. And to perform those pastimes, Krishna goes to Radhakund. So Radhakund is highest as far as time and place. Okay, now as far as circumstance is concerned, how is Radhakund great as far as circumstance is concerned? Well, Radhakund is very near geographically. Radhakund is very near to a village called Mukurai. Mukurai. Mukurai is the village of Radharani's grandmother. So when Radharani has to leave her home, Jatila and Kutila, Radharani's sister-in-law and mother-in-law, they are very suspicious. Where is our daughter-in-law going? Where is our sister-in-law going? Where is Radharani going? So Radharani cannot say that I am going to Radhakund to meet Shamsundar. So she says, oh, I am going to Mukuragaon. I am going to the village of my grandmother. And the village of Radharani's grandmother's village is very close to Radhakund. So she walks all the way, and Jatila and Kutila are convinced that she is going to her grandmother's village. And in the last moment, she takes a turn and she reaches Radhakund. So Radhakund is also, as far as circumstance is concerned, very dear to Krishna's heart, because it facilitates Radharani's movement very easily to Radhakund on the excuse of going to Radharani's grandmother's village. Also, if you see the pastimes that take place in Radhakund, there's variety of pastimes that take place in Radhakund. Our acharyas describe holy, the pastimes of color, the leela of colors. Holi takes place in Radhakund. Swing pastimes take place in Radhakund. The water sports, the boat festival takes place in Radhakund. Transcendental gambling. Radha and Krishna also transcendentally gamble. And guess what? Any intelligent game, Radharani wins. Radharani sweeps over Krishna's intelligence. So dice, chess, any of the games which need intelligence, Radharani sweeps over Krishna. So all the maidservants of Radhika, they're always saying, oh Krishna, you're foolish. You're less intelligent. Because you're associating with the cows, you've become less intelligent. Because in your childhood, you fed the monkeys, your face is looking like a monkey. Because you are always running behind cows, your brain has become that of a cow. So the associates of Radhika are always making fun and tricking and mocking at Krishna. That Krishna, who in the Bhagavad Gita very proudly says, I am the intelligence of all the intelligent people. I am the source from where intelligence, from me comes knowledge, forgetfulness,
and remembrance. That Krishna in Vrindavan at Radhakund is being mocked at by the maidservants of Radhika to say, any intelligent game, you lose. You're less intelligent. And Prabhupada writes in one purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita that the associates of Radharani, they have one quality. Any fault of Krishna, they magnify. They announce the faults of Krishna. And any apparent fault of Radharani, they conceal and hide it. That's one of the services of the servants of Radharani. So in this way, we can understand Radhakund, as far as time, as far as place, and as far as circumstances concerned, is the highest. Also, other pastimes that take place in Radhakund. There's one very interesting pastime called as the intoxication pastime. Now, this is not intoxication because of alcohol. That is tamogun. That is the mode of ignorance. Here in Radhakund, there's honey, divine transcendental honey. And Radha and Krishna are drinking that, and they're swinging in happiness. At the same time, in Radhakund, there are other pastimes where Krishna, he acts as if he's asleep. He pretends to be asleep, only to hear what Radharani speaks of him when he's asleep. Krishna's acting as if he's asleep. And at that time, he hears Radharani say, oh, Shyam Sundar is so kind-hearted. Although he comes late to the Kunj, but he always speaks the truth. He is the embodiment of all good qualities. And Krishna, as he's sleeping, he can't stop but smile that Radharani is speaking so sweetly about him. And Lalita and Vishaka at that time spot that there is a hypocrite right there. Someone who's trying to act to sleep, but he's having a broad smile. So they wake up Krishna and they steal his flute and things like that. Very, very sweet pastimes take place at Radhakund. Well, someone could say, all of these pastimes also take place at Suryakund, another place in Vrindavan. So what is so special about Radhakund? All these pastimes take place in Suryakund as well. That's not true. All of them take place in Radhakund. They take place in Suryakund also, but there's a speciality in Radhakund. What is that? In Suryakund, Jatila can come, Kutila can come. But in Radhakund, Jatila, Kutila cannot come. What to speak of Jatila and Kutila? No other Sakhi can come. No Chandravali, no Shaibhya, no Padma, no Sakhi, no Gopi with a contrary mood can come to Radhakund. Only Radharani and the associates of Radharani, the maidservants of Radharani. This Radhakund is the possession, is the inheritance of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in this world and gave the mood of being the maidservant of Radha and Krishna. And therefore we find our Prayojan Tattva Acharya, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, all his life, he lived on the banks of this Radhakund, chanting. For 45 years, Raghunath Das Goswami was crying and weeping for the mercy of Radharani. Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhura Smitasyam Vadami Radha Karuna Bharatram Tatho Mamanyasti Gati Nakapi. Raghunath Das Goswami is praying, oh Radhike, oh Radharani, apart from you, I have nobody. Please accept me as your eternal maidservant at your lotus feet. So dear devotees, it is a matter of very great honor and privilege to be a Gaudiya Vaishnava, because this high-class mood of being a resident of Vrindavan, in that being a Gopi of Vrindavan, in that the position of Radharani, and that appearing here at Radhakund, and that of all happy, our acharyas come to that Radhakund, because this Radhakund and this Shyamakund were discovered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who can discover Radha and Krishna? Only Radha and Krishna can discover Radha and Krishna. Narsingadev cannot discover Radha and Krishna. Varahadev cannot discover Radha and Krishna. Only Radha and Krishna can discover Radha and Krishna. So Radha in the form of Shyamakund and Radha. Discovery. It is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift to the world. there, our Raghunath Das cried and wept and sobbed and was sweating and bleeding in separation from Radharani. Dear devotees, Raghunath Das Goswami sat here in Radha Kund and spoke the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Das Goswami had 16 years of personal association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he wound up his pastimes and left me, felt like jumping off from the Govardhan Hill Swami, who held the hands of Raghunath Das Goswami in Radha Kund. And whatever association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu you had, you simply describe that. You simply describe. So he sat there at Radha Kund and described his association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami sat there in that assembly and wrote down Chaitanya Charitamrit. Chaitanya Charitamrit are the notes, the handwritten take-home notes of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that he heard from the lips of Raghunath Das Goswami on the banks of Radha Kund. Dear devotees, this Radha Kund is also significant because this Radha Kund is the place where Chaitanya Charitamrit was written. So after understanding the glory of this place of Radha Kund, understanding how Radha Kund is so special, we can understand this very, very beautiful verse of Raghunath Das Goswami. We want to tell a very interesting context. The context is, one day, Radharani refused to meet Krishna. She was very angry because Krishna was supposed to come on time, but he got late as usual. There's a joke. There are two kinds of people in this world. The first is always on time, and the second is never on time. And why is that so? Because even in the spiritual world, there are two categories of people. There are the Brajvasis who are always on time. And there's Krishna on the other side who's never on time. So if we want to be on Krishna's camp, we can continue to be late. But if we want to be on Radharani's camp, who's always on time, then we should be time conscious. That is the interesting take-home joke for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So whenever we see someone coming on time, we should remember Srimati Radharani. And whenever we see someone coming late, then we remember Sri Krishna. So Sri Krishna, he came late to the Kunj. And at that time, Radharani became very angry. He said, no, I don't want to see you. You don't show me your face. Go away. Krishna said, I'm on time. I'm on time. Lalita Sakhi said, you were supposed to come at 6 o'clock. Krishna said, it is 6 o'clock. Lalita Sakhi said, you were supposed to come at 6 o'clock in the evening. It is 6 o'clock in the morning. You're 12 hours late. Where were you all night? And Radharani gets very angry. And she asks Krishna to leave, and she doesn't meet Krishna. So Lalita Sakhi says, oh Krishna, if you want the mercy of Radharani, you have to worship Radha Kund. So Radharani and Radha Kund are non-different. But when Radharani doesn't accept us, Radha Kund is the way to worship to get the mercy of Radharani. Radha Kund will never reject us. The waters of Radha Kund are the liquefied expression of Radharani's praying for Krishna. So what did Krishna do? Raghunath Das Goswami describes, Agharipu api yatnat atra devya prasada prasarakrita kataksham prapti kama prakamam anusarati yaduchaihi snana sevanubandhaihi tadati sura viradha kundameva shrayo me. Dear devotees, this is our inheritance. The works of Raghunath Das Goswami, the works of Rupa Goswami, the works of Sanatan Goswami coming down from our beloved Srila Prabhupada. This is our possession. This is our property. This is our inheritance. As obedient children to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, this is what we inherit. Srila Prabhupada, he lived at the Radha Damodar temple to associate with the Goswamis and carry their mood of affection for Radha and Krishna in his heart. And then after leaving Vrindavan, Prabhupada sprinkled Vrindavan to the whole world. And after giving Vrindavan to the whole world, what did Prabhupada do? He came back to Vrindavan for his departure. So Prabhupada left that Vrindavan to come to this Vrindavan. And he left this Vrindavan to give Vrindavan to the whole world. And after giving Vrindavan to the whole world, he came back to this Vrindavan to depart to go to that Vrindavan. This is our glory. Imagine sitting in Germany and having Radhakund, Shyamkund, Sangam painting on the wall. Would this have ever been possible without Srila Prabhupada? Not possible. Impossible. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovered Radhakund. Raghunath Das Goswami prayed at Radhakund. But still Radhakund would have been a far-fetched reality for us. But Prabhupada, what did he do? He translated the Upadeshamrita in English and gave it off. The nectar of instruction was given and distributed on the streets of Manhattan, New York City. Never even thought of. Impossible. Inconceivable. Radhakund was unknown even in Vrindavan. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, the farmer said, oh, that is a rice, it's a swampy rice field. So even in Vrindavan, Radhakund and Shyamkund were hidden. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovered, then Vrindavan got to know. But now, people in Pakistan and in Iran and America and Russia, they're all worshipping Radhakund and Shyamkund and coming in the month of Kartik to Vrindavan. This is all Srila Prabhupada's mercy. One shopkeeper in Vrindavan once told me that your Prabhupada Ji of ISKCON, he told me, Prabhupada Ji of ISKCON, he has done such great work for the Brajbasis. I said, what work for the Brajbasis? He said, it's been 40 years since Prabhupada has departed this world. But even till this very day, I get my food because of Prabhupada. I said, how is that possible? He said, I have a store. And my store is filled with dhoti and sari and kantimala and big bag and all of these things. And all the ISKCON devotees come and they purchase from here. So I get my money to feed my belly because of the devotees. And the devotees want this because of Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada came and he even gave me roti even 40 years after his departure. So dear devotees, being followers of Prabhupada means naturally, by the mercy of Prabhupada, by the influence of Prabhupada, we are able to tap into realms of reality that are beyond our adhikar, beyond our qualification. But this is possible only by Prabhupada's mercy. When we call out to Radharani and we say, hey, Radharani, please shower your mercy, Radharani would say, who even are you? What is your qualification? Oh, I am follower of Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada. Radharani opens the doors of her mercy. So Raghunath Das Goswami has described in this verse, in the Radha Kunda Ashtakam, he has described when Krishna was asked to leave the Kunj and Lalita Sakhi told him, go and worship Radha Kund. What did Krishna do? He went to Radha Kund. And the killer of Aghasur, the killer of Arishtasur, who's so powerful, what was he doing in Radha Kund? He was blowing the conch shell. He blew the conch shell on the banks of Radhakund and he started performing arati. He took his incense stick, he took his ghee lamp, he offered the water, he offered the kerchief, he offered the flowers, he offered the chamara whisk. He was doing all of this and then he concluded by bathing in the water and praying, oh Radhakund, please give me the mercy of Radharani. Who is doing all this? The Lord of the universe. Sri Krishna takes shelter of Radhakund to get the mercy of Srimati Radharani. So it is described by Raghunath Das Goswami. Krishna standing there on one leg like Dhruva Maharaj. Like Dhruva Maharaj, Krishna stands and he is remembering his mantra. What is the mantra of Krishna? Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe Jai Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe. So Krishna is having one leg on the other like Dhruva Maharaj in the middle of Radhakund and he is remembering his mantra. He is remembering his mantra, praying to Radhakund. But we all know when the mantra is chanted, the personality behind the mantra appears, right? When you chant the Narsingha Arati, Narsingadev will appear. When you pray to Ramachandra, Ramachandra will appear. Now Krishna is praying to Radharani in Radhakund, so who should appear? Radharani should appear. And it is described immediately at that time. What happened? Radharani appeared, not in her form, but Krishna was seeing Radharani in Radhakund. The fragrance of all the lotus flowers in Radhakund was entering the nostrils of Krishna. And Krishna was feeling the fragrance of Srimati Radharani by the fragrance of the lotus in the waters of Radhakund. Similarly, when he heard the swans in Radhakund, very sweet sound of the swans, the big white royal swans in the waters of Radhakund, they're speaking. Now Krishna could hear their voice, and that was like the tinkling of the ankle bells of Srimati Radhika. And then at that time there was a breeze that touched the cloth of Krishna. Yasya kadapi vasananchana khelanotta dhanyati dhanya pavanena kritarthamani yogindra durgama gate madhusudanopi tasya namostu vrishabhanubhuvo disheti. And when the breeze touched the body of Krishna, that was like the breathing of Radharani. So the breeze of Radhakund was like the breathing of Radharani. The fragrance of the flowers of Radhakund was the fragrance of the body of Radharani. The talking of the royal white swans was like the tinkling of the ankle bells of Radharani. Similarly, the beauty of the lotus flowers was like the pink hands of Radharani in the waters of Radhakund. It was almost like Radharani had put her hand. The pink palms of Radharani is what Krishna was seeing looking at the pink lotuses. And finally, when he saw that there were creepers hanging in Radhakund, and there were champaka vines. Champaka vines are yellow. Champaka flowers are yellow. So when he saw that the creepers and yellow flowers are moving by the breeze, he thought they were the moving arms of Radharani. So when the creepers and the yellow champaka vines are moving, Krishna is also moving, thinking that that's the moving hands of Radharani. So looking at Radharani's form in the form of champaka, beautiful yellow flowers, Krishna is also dancing. And at that time, Krishna's all alone. Think about it. The Lord of the universe, Jagannath, just to get the mercy of Radharani, is performing Arati of Radharani in Radhakund. He's bathing in Radhakund. He's chanting his mantras in Radhakund. And he has darshan of Radharani in Radhakund, in the form of the intoxicated bumblebees, in the form of the lotus flowers, in the form of the breeze, in the form of the fragrance, in the form of the dancing of the vines. And Krishna is also dancing. He's looking at the breeze and he's also moving his hands all alone. And at that time, what happens, dear devotees? Brinda Devi goes to Radhakund just to see what's happening. And she goes there and there's no one there. Everyone's sitting in the Kunj of Radharani. Because they thought that's the pastime place. That's the meeting of the place. But here's no one. But there's only Krishna. And he's looking at the vines and he's just moving his hands. So Brinda Devi is thinking, what's wrong with him? What is he doing? And then she looks closely. Krishna's eyes are filled with tears and he's crying, Hey Radhe, Hey Radhe, Hey Radhe. He's calling out to Radharani and he's intoxicated. So at that time, dear devotees, Brinda Devi goes back to the Kunj of Radharani. Which Kunj? The same Kunj from where Radharani asked Krishna to leave. Brinda Devi goes there. And at that time, dear devotees, now we come to the verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita. With this introduction of our discussion, we come to that verse. So please kindly pull up Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, the first section, Adi Leela, chapter 4. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 4, text 125. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 4, text 125. Did everyone open up the text? Open up the text, but please don't read the translation. You can open up the text, but don't read the translation. The suspense will be spilled out. just see the Sanskrit. Just see the English. Yeah, just see the verse. Is everyone having the verse with you? Yes, good.
Yeah.
Yes, if it's being displayed, Gaura Hari Prabhu.
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
Is everyone able to see the verse?
I'm not sure. I'm not so good in technique.
Okay.
We have a book for 25 persons. in the
Okay.
temple room, but yeah, I think
Maybe others can pull it up on their phone.
yeah.
You can go to vedabase.com
Yeah.
and there you can see Chaitanya Charitamrit, Adi Leela, chapter 4, text 125. So this verse will now conclude the pastime that we are discussing. Do let me know once everyone has the verse, because then we can go word by word, and the sweetness of this one verse of Chaitanya Charitamrit will erupt in front of our eyes.
I managed to have it on the screen.
What is that, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I managed to have it on the screen here for the temple. So here in the temple, everyone can look at it.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how about others? Everyone else can also? Okay, good. So please, I will chant the words and I will pause, and you can kindly repeat. Everyone's on mute, so you don't have to worry. There's not going to be any interruption or interference. Wherever you are at home, we are all on mute, so you can kindly repeat. Kasmat vrinde priya sakhi hare Padamulat kutoso. I'll repeat again. Kasmat vrinde priya sakhi hare Padamulat kutoso. Kundaranye Kim iha kurute Nritya shiksham guru kaha. I'll repeat the line again. Kundaranye Kim iha kurute Nritya shiksham guru kaha. Tam tvam murti pratitaru-latam dikvidikshu spurante. Tam tvam murti pratitaru-latam dikvidikshu spurante. Shailu Shiva Bhramati Parito Nartayanti Swapaschat. Shailu Shiva Bhramati Parito Nartayanti Swapaschat. Okay, now I'll chant the whole verse line by line. Please kindly repeat. Kasmat vrinde priya sakhi hare padamulat kutoso. Kundaranye kim iha kurute nritya shiksham guru kaha. Tantvam murtihi pratitaru-latam dikvidikshu spuranti. Shailu Shiva Bhramati Parito Nartayanti Swapaschat. Now I will chant the whole verse. You all can chant with me. We'll go slowly and without any breaks, we'll chant. Okay? Kasmat vrinde priya sakhi hare पादमूलात् कुतोऽसौ कुण्डारण्ये किम इह कुरुते नृत्य शिक्षां गुरुकः तं त्वं मूर्तिः प्रतितरुलतां दिग्विदिक्षु स्फुरन्ते शैलोषीव भ्रमति परितो नर्तयन्ति स्वपश्चात्. Could everyone read? Did everyone feel comfortable? Now, we still don't know what the verse means. Oh, yes, there's someone who wants to share something. Okay. So now we will, if you have a pencil or a pen, you can, in your notebook, you can write down, if you feel inspired, the analysis of this verse. Very, very sweet verse. So dear devotees, what is the context? The context is Vrinda Devi has seen Krishna all alone in Radha Kund. Yes? We were at that point where Vrinda Devi has seen Krishna all alone in Radha Kund. And now she has come to give her report to Radha Rani in the grove. And that conversation between Vrinda Devi, this verse is a conversation between Vrinda Devi and Radharani on what Krishna is doing at Radha Kund. So let us start. Radharani asks the question, Kasmat Brinde. Brinde means, oh Vrinda Rani, Vrinda Devi. Kasmat. Kasmat Brinde. From where are you coming? You seem to be coming from somewhere. Kasmat Brinde. Oh Brinde, you seem to be coming from somewhere. Where are you coming from? Please tell me, where are you coming from? Because you should tell me. Because you are Priya Sakhi. You are very dear to me. Priya means dear and Sakhi means friend. So Radharani is asking Vrinda Devi, Kasmat, from where are you coming? Where are you coming from? Brinde, oh Vrindarani, you should tell me because you're Priya Sakhi, you're my dear friend. So Vrinda Devi says, I am coming from the lotus feet of Hari. Harehe pada moolat. Harehe means Hari, Shri Krishna. And pada moola means from his lotus feet. I am coming from the place of Krishna's lotus feet. So Radharani is asking, Kutoso, where is he? You see, the first line is a conversation. Radharani is asking Vrinda Devi, Kasmat Brinde Priya Sakhi. Oh Priya Sakhi, oh dear friend of mine Vrinda, where are you coming from? And Vrinda Devi has just come from Radha Kund. So she's saying, Harehe pada moolat. I am coming from the place of Hari. I am coming from the lotus feet of Hari. So then Radharani is asking, Kutoso? So that's the first line. Kasmat Vrinde Priya Sakhi Hare Pada Moolat Kutoso. So that's the conversation. Kasmat Brinde Priya Sakhi is asked by Radharani to Vrinda Devi. And Vrinda Devi answers by saying, I am coming from the lotus feet of Hari. Hare Pada Moolat. And then Radharani asks question back. Kutahaso? Where is my Krishna? And what is he doing? Where is he? So Vrinda Devi says, Kundaranye. Oh, he is at Radha Kund. Kunda. Kundaranye. He is at Radha Kund. So Radharani is saying, he's at Radha Kund? Without me? Kimiha kurute. What is he doing? Whom is he with? Radharani becomes suspicious. Kundaranye. Vrinda Devi says, oh, he's at Radha Kund. Kimiha kurute. What is that Krishna doing there? Vrinda Devi says, Nritya Shiksham. He's taking dancing lessons. At Radha Kund, Krishna is taking dancing lessons. Nritya Shiksham. So Radharani is saying, dancing lessons. Guru kaha. Who is his guru? Who is his dancing guru? So you see, the second line, are you able to appreciate? Kundaranye. When Radharani is asking Vrinda Devi, where is Hari? She says, Kundaranye. He's at Radha Kund. So then Radharani says, Kim iha kurute. What is he doing there? So Vrinda Devi says, Nritya Shiksham. He is learning how to dance. So Radharani is saying, Guru kaha. Please tell me who his dancing guru is. whom is he learning all these graceful steps from? Brinda Devi says, Tvam Murti. Oh, Radharani, please relax. Don't get frantic. Relax. Tam Tvam Murtihi. He is learning from your form, from you, learning from you. Tvam Murti. Radharani is saying, but my Murti, I am here. How am I there? So the answer is Prati Taru Latam. Prati means every. Taru means tree. And Latam means creeper. He is looking at every tree and creeper. Dik vidikshu, in all directions. When Vrinda Devi is saying he's learning from you, Radharani said, learning from me? I am here. How is he learning from me in Radhakund? Oh, Radhike, Tvam Murtihi Prati Taru Latam Dik Vidikshu Spuranti. Spuranti means manifested. His bhajan at Radhakund is so deep that your form has Spuranti, manifested. Dik Vidikshu, in all directions. Prati Taru Lata, in every tree and creeper. And just looking at your form in Radhakund, as the breeze is moving and your form is moving, he's also learning from you. Oh, Radhike, please don't think that Krishna has any other gopi in his heart except you. He loves you in and out. There is nobody in his heart except you. And then, finally, in the last line, Brinda Devi says, Shailu Shiva Brahmati Parito Nartayanti Swapaschat. Shailu Shiva. Shailu Shiva means like a puppeteer moves a puppet. Oh, Radhike, you are the puppeteer and Krishna is the puppet, and the strings are that of love. So you are the puppeteer and you, by the strings of love, are moving your hands, and the puppet of Krishna's form is dancing. And Nartayanti, dancing, Swapaschat, after you. First the puppeteer moves his hands or fingers, then the puppet moves. The puppet does not move before. First the puppeteer moves his fingers and the strings are connected to the fingers, and then the puppet moves accordingly. The doll moves accordingly. So Brinda Devi is telling Radharani, hey Radhike, Krishna is like a puppet and you are the puppeteer. Your form is dancing first and moved by the strings of prem. He is the puppet and you are the puppeteer. You are dancing and he's dancing after you. Oh, Brinda Devi, Lalita Sakhi told Krishna to worship you, and Krishna worshipped Radha Kund, and he has got the mercy of Radha Kund. He's seeing your form everywhere. Hey Radhike, please accept Krishna back again. Brinda Devi is writing a recommendation letter, and then Radharani accepts Krishna, and Radha and Krishna have very sweet loving pastimes. Dear devotees, this one verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, when we read, this has all that we discussed for the last 90 minutes is all there in this one verse. Now let us read this verse again with the meaning, okay? So now you see, Brinda Devi is coming to Radharani, okay? Conversation. Brinda Devi is coming to Radharani. So Radharani is asking, Kasmat Brinde, where are you coming from? You should tell me, because Priya Sakhi, your dear friend, you're my dear friend. Brinda Devi answers, Harehe Padamulat, I'm coming from the lotus feet of Hari. So Radharani is asking, Kutaha, so where is he? Brinda Devi says, Kundaranye, he's at Radhakund. Radharani is asking, Kimiha Kurute, what is he doing? Brinda Devi says, Nritya Shiksham, he is learning to dance. Radharani says, Guru Kaha, who is his dancing teacher? Whom is he learning from? Brinda Devi says, Tam Tvam Murti, he is learning from you. How can he learn from me? I am here. How can he learn from me there? Oh Radhike, Tantvam Murti, he is learning from you because your form, Prati Taru Latam, in every tree and creeper, Dik Vidikshu, in all directions, Spuranti, your form has manifested in every tree and creeper in all directions. And Shailu Shiva, just like the puppeteer moves the strings and the puppet dances, Shailu Shiva Brahmati Parito Nartayanti Swapaschad. First your form is moving, he looks and then he dances all alone in Radha Kund. This is how much he has affection for you, O Radhike. Please accept my Krishna. In this way, Radha and Krishna meet, and by the glory of this one verse, we can understand how many such secrets are hidden in Chaitanya Charitamrita. We think Chaitanya Charitamrita is only about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But before we understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to understand the hearts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna. It's not lumped up. It is Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna. So because Mahaprabhu is non-different from Radha Krishna, Chaitanya Charitamrita is also non-different from the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, dear devotees, we saw in this one verse how there is beautiful, wonderful Braja Leela, Radha Krishna Leela, hidden through Gaura Leela, hidden through Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wrote this very beautiful work in his ripe old age. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was over 90 years old when he gave us this nectar. And following his footsteps, Srila Prabhupada also gave Chaitanya Charitamrita in his ripe old age. Dear devotees, if Prabhupada wouldn't have translated this in English, would we have been able to tap the nectar that we are tapping in today? We are tapping it free of cost. There's no price to be paid. It is because Prabhupada went sleepless for years. For years and years, he was sleepless, writing the English translation of Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, in our life, we should take shelter of Prabhupada's books. When Prabhupada says, read my books, look, we read one verse and we discussed it for 90 minutes. This is the depth of Prabhupada's books. So we should take shelter of Prabhupada's books and draw appreciation for Prabhupada's work. How the nectar of Gaudiya Parampara is coming through Srila Prabhupada in the English language to the whole world. Never was there a time when the nectar of Radha Krishna Leela or Gaur Leela was spread in a language which the whole world could understand. It was in Sanskrit. The whole world cannot understand Sanskrit. It was in Bengali. The whole world cannot understand Bengali. But Prabhupada, what he did, he took the Yamuna water and mixed it with the mainstream drinking water of English language. Now everyone who's drinking water is drinking Yamuna. This is Prabhupada's unparalleled contribution. So saying that, I want to stop here and take your permission to hear something from you. It could be reflections, it could be realizations, it could be experience. And any questions or comments, I would be very happy to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, dear Amarendra, thank you for giving us such an infusion of devotional feelings and sentiment. I have my wife next to me who would have a question. Come. Okay, then she give it back to me. We can see later also if someone have question can make on the chat box, put their hands up. I was just appreciating so much this when we were discussing about the topic. I was telling you, yeah, we sometimes have confusion, sometimes a little bit quarrel about rules and Corona and like this, and I can see you really targeted in the middle of the target by giving us such a deep and nourishing kata. I was wondering, how would you recommend for us who deal with all those things, how do you do to go so deep into study, into reading, into absorbing into Krishna consciousness to such a depth like you present to us today? What will be your advice for temple devotees, for congregational persons who have to work outside? How can we go into such a depth, or what will be your advice for us to go deeper?
For grihasthas, 4 principles. First and foremost, waking up early and chanting minimum 16, preferably even more than 16, 25, 32 in the morning. The reason I say that is because brahmacharis are protected in the ashram, and the mode of goodness, right association, right prasadam, right schedule, no mixing with the outside world. So it's like a fort that the brahmacharis live in. But we grihasthas have to play with Maya every day. You have to go to work and quarrel and arguments and whatnot. So therefore, when the symptoms of the illness increase, the dosage of the medicine must also increase, right? So therefore, we should try to chant more. We should try good quality and good quantity in the morning. So we should, the first thing is lifestyle, trying to, sleep early and wake up early. The problem is we sleep late and then we wake up late and we have lost the nourishment of the Brahma Muhurta. We have lost the nourishment of Brahma Muhurta. What, from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the morning, what that 4 hours can give us, the remaining 20 hours cannot. What we can gain between 3 and 7 in the morning, the remaining 20 hours cannot give us. Because the remaining 20 hours are filled with phone calls and the doorbell and emails and messages and so many things. The whole world is up and awake. But between those 4 hours, the mind is relaxed, well rested, and it's in the mode of pure goodness. Later, the impressions of Rajas and Tamas are too high. Once we have our first meal, we have our second meal, automatically the body becomes slow and tired and sluggish. We feel like sleeping and, this is what happens in winter especially also. But we should wake up. The morning time, especially for those who want to get Krishna, we should wake up. If we are told that if you go to the airport, we'll give you a briefcase of $1 million American. Won't we wake up at 4 o'clock and go to the airport to get that briefcase of $1 million? We will in fact go there and be there by 3:30, just to make sure that we don't miss the guy who's going to give us the briefcase. Is it not? So to get some money, we are ready to wake up. But to chant Krishna's names, which will give us love for him, we prefer to sleep. So first and foremost, first principle is to wake up early in the morning and chant more. We should not talk to anybody, not look at our phone, not check our email, sometimes we put our hand through the bead bag, and then with this finger, we are scrolling on the iPhone. We shouldn't do things like that. We should sit there nicely and we take our beads and we really chant. We call out to Krishna. We lovingly call out to Krishna. Lovingly we call out to Krishna. Imagine how we would like to talk to someone whom we love. We should call out. And if we feel it's monotonous, we can break it sometime. We hold the beat and we chant. Kasmad vrinde priya sakhi hare padamulat kutoso. And then we are understanding the meaning and remembering every word, every line. And then it nourishes our soul, and then we continue. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So there must be affection for Krishna. We are not at the level of love, but whatever affection we have in our heart, all of us have affection. We are not stones. We have affection for our wife, our parents, our children, our house, affection for money. If nothing, we keep a dog and we have affection for the dog. So that little affection, whatever we have in our heart, we should have for Krishna. That's the first principle of chanting. Out of the 4, the first is to wake up early and chant more, good quantity and good quality. Second principle. Again, these are 4 for grihasthas. The second is to worship the deity and to worship Tulsi Maharani. This holds true even for those in the ashram. Worshipping the deity, worshipping Tulsi Maharani to the best of our ability. I have personally seen so many of my desires have been fulfilled by Brinda Devi, by Tulsi Maharani. If Brinda Devi can fulfill the desire of Krishna by writing a recommendation for him and coming to Srimati Radhika and saying, please accept him, why not accept us? So the second thing is worshipping Tulsi and worshipping the deities. Also, you can keep a picture of Govardhan Hill. Not everyone has Govardhan Shila, but at least have a picture. You download a picture from online and keep a picture of Govardhan Hill. and pray to Govardhan. Keep one flower and pray every day. Govardhan can, under his lotus feet, protect even Radha and Krishna when Indra was showering thunderbolts. So Radha and Krishna, who give shelter to the whole world, Giriraj gives shelter to Radha and Krishna. So why won't he give us shelter? So this is the second principle. The third principle is to study at least 1 hour every day. Whatever we want to get good at, we have to spend time. We have to spend time. 1 hour every day. And that too, keep a notebook. Keep a pen. Don't scribble on your main book. Don't write with your pen on Prabhupada's book and spoil the book. Don't do that. If you want, you can take notes with pencil, very light, but preferably keep a notebook of your own. And then whatever you're studying, you write. Don't read. Don't passively read like newspaper. Sit and study like a student, university student. Keep your book, keep your notebook, and take points. Write down, either from the verse or from the translation, from the purport. And if you liked a certain verse which you think is good for preaching or is good for personal meditation, put it in under the memorization list. Keep that verse in your heart. Not just that, when you study all of these things and you take nice notes, you can hear classes on that topic by different senior Vaishnavas and devotees. Then that same thing that we have written, we will hear, and newer perspectives, newer and newer points that we can draw in our heart will come. And then we add them also in our notes. And now is the most important thing. Whatever we are writing and hearing and studying and putting in our notebook, we share it with everyone. We tell everyone, today, Prabhu, I read this. And the Mataji say to the Vaishnavis, oh, I read this today. I heard this today. I would like to share it with you if you have some time. And then that Mataji or that Prabhuji is also sharing. When we have so much juice to write and read and share, where is the time to criticize each other? Where is the time to find faults? Where is the time to complain and blame and criticize and fight between ourselves? When there's so many reasons to be united, where is the time and where is the reason to fight? And we will see, dear devotees, when we study Shastra and we share it, not just speak and also hear when they speak. When we have this relation, then our affection for each other increases. And when there is suffering in your life, my heart will melt. Oh, that person with whom I have read and heard so much about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Shri Krishna, oh, I can see suffering in his life. I will help him. What is happening? Genuine affection, friendship, and compassion is coming with Krishna in the center. By hearing seminars on compassion and forgiveness and friendship, we are not going to develop them. We are going to develop them when there is devotion in the heart. When there is mutual devotion, you have devotion for Krishna, I have devotion, then we have affection for each other. So this is the third point. And the fourth point is we welcome Vaishnavas at home. Feed them prasadam, serve them, take care of them. That takes care of Vaishnav Seva also. If these four things are performed, and one thing is strictly avoided, what is that? Mixing with the opposite sex, the intermingling, very close proximity with the opposite sex, and offense to Vaishnavas, two things. Because these two things are mentioned by Mahaprabhu. I am not saying it. Jodi tumi rakte chaho gaurangera sane, choto haridaser katha thake janomone. It comes from a book called Prem Vivarta or Prem Vivarta by Jagadananda Pandit. He says, if you very closely deal with another man's wife or another lady's husband, then you will not be accepted by Mahaprabhu. We can, of course, say, yes, we are just friends. There's nothing wrong. We are being modern. Yes. Our obeisances to all these thoughts. But the principle remains the same. If you want to get Krishna, sense control is very important. And when we follow the regulative principles, how many of us fall back to meat eating? None of us. How many of us fall down because of meat eating? Nobody. How many of us fall down because of intoxication or gambling? Nobody, hardly anyone. But if the fall down takes place, it's because of the fourth principle. So this sacredness of husband and wife must be maintained in the marriage. And other things must be kept at a great distance. We have done, we have spoken, we have dealt. All of those dealings have been done in our past lives. This life is only on the path of purity. This is point number one. And point number two, no criticism of anyone. So 4 things to do and 2 things to avoid. These things are taken care. Whatever we are studying with right character and right sadhana, and whatever we are studying will go from the books into our head, and from the head into our heart, and from our heart through our words, and then it will influence other lives also. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you so much. We will have one more question here in the temple, but I just want to see if our community members on the stream, if someone has a question there before. Doesn't look like, or Damodar Priya seems to come closer to the computer. Yeah, Damodar Priya, do you have?
Yes, let me ask a small question. If you could explain about Lila Shakti, we hear about Yoga Maya represented by Subhadra, but also by Purnamasi and by Brinda Devi, and maybe you can just shed a little bit of light into how is it to be understood, all of that.
So Krishna basically has 16 energies, main energies. Aparichinnata Shakti, which means that which makes him all-pervasive, omnipresent. Vibhuda Shakti, which keeps him very intelligent. Shri Shakti, which is the wealth, keeps him in the position of the husband of goddess of fortune. Ila Shakti, that gives him the tolerance of Mother Earth. Kanti Shakti, that keeps him very beautiful. Vidya Shakti, that keeps him very knowledgeable. Kirti Shakti, that keeps him very famous. Kala Shakti, time works under him. In this way, there are 16 energies of Krishna described by the Acharyas. And one out of them is called Yoga Maya Shakti, which is also described as Leela Shakti. Now, the Garga Samhita describes the same thing, Leela Shakti and Yoga Maya, to be non-different. But as we rightly pointed out, sometimes Yoga Maya is described as Subhadra Devi, and sometimes Yoga Maya is described as Purnamasi Devi, and sometimes Yoga Maya is described as Brinda Devi, Tulsi Maharani. So how do we understand? What is the function of the Yoga Maya Shakti? The Yoga Maya Shakti has a function called Aghatana Ghatana Prati Asi Shakti, which means she makes possible into impossible and impossible into possible. That is her service. Yoga means to come together. So she brings the devotees close to Krishna and Krishna close to the devotees by Maya. Maya means illusion. So Yoga Maya. Yoga means together and Maya means illusion. So she brings in illusory spells by which devotees are always close to Krishna. What that means is, if Krishna remembers that he is God, and if the devotees also remember Krishna is God, then there is a distance because of reverence and respect. So the Maya Shakti that makes Krishna forget that he's God and makes the devotees forget that Krishna is God, it brings the devotees close to Krishna in intimacy. This is called Yoga Maya. And she makes possible into impossible and impossible into possible. She can make the whole universe fit in the mouth of Krishna when he eats dirt. And yet at the same time, she can make him run for his life when Mother Yashoda chases him with a stick in the next chapter as Damodar Leela. So this is Yogamaya. So who does all this? There's only one person who does it. That is called Purnamasi. Purnamasi is the Yogamaya Shakti. She is the oldest in Vrindavan, very beautiful woman with white hair. And she's the one who arranges all the pastimes. Now, who is she? She is the mother of Sandipani Muni, Krishna's teacher. And she's also the grandmother of Madhumangal, Krishna's dear friend. So Krishna's dear friend Madhumangal's father is Sandipani Muni, Krishna's teacher. And Sandipani Muni's mother is Purnamasi Devi. That's as far as the link is concerned. And she takes care of all the pastimes. But however, because she is an old woman, she does not take care of the Madhurya Rasa, because there has to be someone very young to arrange the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Like you can't have an old woman write a script of how Radha and Krishna are going to meet, right? It has to be someone young and someone very romantic who can write very good scripts. So Purnamasi Devi is the Yogamaya for all rasas. But very specifically for Madhurya Rasa, the Yogamaya Shakti assigned is Brinda Devi, because she's young. So who is the Yogamaya Shakti for Vatsalya Ras and Sakya Ras and Dasya Ras and Shanta Ras? It is Purnamasi. But who is the Yogamaya for Madhurya Ras? Oh, it is Brinda Devi. Tulsi. This is as far as Vrindavan is concerned. And outside Vrindavan, the Yogamaya Shakti is called Subhadra Devi. Because Yogamaya and Purnamasi and Brinda Devi don't leave Vrindavan ever. Because Radha and Krishna don't leave Vrindavan. But when Krishna steps out in his Aishwarya form, then Subhadra Devi is there. Therefore, in Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra and Sudarshan, this is very interesting. It represents 4 steps of elevation on the path of bhakti. First is Sudarshan. First, the desire comes in the heart. Sudarshan. Su means good, and darshan means darshan, as we have the audience of the Lord in the form of the deity. So first comes Sudarshan. The desire rises in the heart of the living being. May I see the Lord. May I see the Lord. And when that happens, the next person who comes in our life is Balaram, Guru Tattva. Guru says, I will help you see the Lord. And then after that is Subhadra. She is the Yogamaya Shakti. She says, I will take away the curtain of illusion of this world and place you close to the Lord. So first is the desire to see the Lord, Sudarshan. Then is the support of Guru Tattva as Baladev. Then is Maya Shakti of this world taken away as Mahamaya. And Yogamaya as Subhadra brings us close. And when these 3 conditions are met, we are face to face in front of Jagannath, the Lord of the universe. So in this way, Leela Shakti can be understood.
Thank you so much. Amarendra Prabhu, will you have time for one more question? Or is it we took already a lot of your time and energy? Or should we just be happy with all what we have received and try to imbibe it in our heart? What would you suggest?
We can take one more, no problem. One last question we can take.
This is Krishna Karuna, one of our long-term pujari.
Hare Krishna. I followed some lectures from Damodar Ashtaka, what you speak in Kartik, and I was very inspired by you. You said we should chant the prayers of the acharyas and study also the Sanskrit, that we know what the meaning is. But this is not so easy for me to study the Sanskrit. But I'm very inspired to chant the prayer, the Sanskrit prayers, and maybe when I know the meaning behind, would this also help me, even if I have not so much time, and do it by when I, for instance, I wake up the deities in the morning in our temple, and then I sing the Damodar Ashtaka and remember what the verses means, and I can chant more prayers maybe like this. Would this help me also? Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So yes, we can spend some time every day in our notebook to write the words. Like, for example, we can write the whole Samsara Dava Nalalid Haloka Tranaya Karunya Ghana Ghanatom in our notebook. You can write the first line and leave us one line space. And then write the second line, then leave one line space. Write the third line, then leave one line space. And in that line that has been left space, you can write the meaning in brief. If not every word, at least line by line. Just write the essence. You can get word to word meanings online. So when you write it in your notebook and then sing Gurvashtakam very slowly in your personal practice. In the temple, of course, you have to keep time. But in your personal bhajan, keep it very slow. You have the notebook with the meaning, and then you go, Samsara Dava Nalali Dhaloka Tranaya Karunya Ghana Ghana Tvam Praptasya Kalyana Gunardavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda. So when you know the meaning and you're singing slowly, you can feel it and you can mean what we are saying. Otherwise, what happens? Like that's how we chant our Mangalarti. Before we understand what it means, the Mangalarti is gone. If we don't put our heart in something, then we don't gain much out of it. We don't want to turn into another fanatical cult, just where we're singing the songs, but we don't know what we're singing, right? So we need to know what we're singing, put our heart in. And that takes little hard work, little, not much. Every song, just write in your notebook. Keep a separate notebook. Every sadhaka must have a notebook of his own, where he writes his thoughts, writes his realizations of his study and his studying, hard work, purports and verses and songs. And then he sings it in front of Thakurji, in front of his own deities. So in this mode. So once you do it for Gurvashtakam, all your life when you sing Gurvashtakam, the meaning flashes in the heart. Then we can mean what we are singing. And we can sing what we mean. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you very much.
So I think we are all very, very grateful. Our heart is full of spiritual impression and devotional feelings. Thank you so much for enlivening our community, Amarendra Prabhu. And it's really an amazing service that you are doing for the entire community, entire worldwide Vaishnavas, and we are extremely grateful you gave us this time today. And please keep us in your prayers, so that we might also be able to do a wonderful service for Prabhupada and to give Krishna consciousness to many souls here in Germany.
I am very, very grateful to be in this assembly. All of you have spent more years in Krishna consciousness than the number of years I've spent in this body. So all of you have been serving for so many years in such sincerity and such loyalty and chastity and dedication and hard work. Who am I to offer any prayer? But I just came here for an opportunity to serve. And Gaura Hari Prabhu has offered so much service in the past, and he continues to offer such sweet service. The Gaura Hari Prabhu's instruction, I'm just here. I am here to learn from all of you, to hear from all of you, to see all of you. If the dog performs good tricks, then the pets on the dog. You see, like the dog when the pet throws the owner of the house, he throws a ball, and the dog jumps and catches the ball. Then he gets more affection from the owner of the house. So I am like that. All of you are my owner, and I am the pet dog. And I have simply come here to speak for 1 hour, 1.5 hours, just to jump and dance in front of you and catch a few balls, so that at the end of it, you will pat me on the back and you will give me your affection. When all of you offer your blessings, sincere, heartfelt prayers and best wishes, then I may make some advancement. So I sincerely, with all my heart, I express my gratitude, and I thank all of you for patiently tolerating me for about 2 hours. And I hope, wish and pray that we all, when Krishna desires, we all meet someday in person.
Yeah. We hope that very much also.
Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much.